YouTube! What the crap's going on? Welcome back to the deserts of Kharak, and finally the finals. That's right, it's the finals on the shallows between none other than Descara and Mr. AGameAnx. So, Descara is going to be coalition. A-Game has picked a random faction, which means that we will see his once we get into the game. So here is Descara's coalition. We have revealed all. We're going to go to production and start checking out the forces. So Descara's got a very sweet white and gray or so color scheme going on here with the coalition. Very awesome. Shallows map, we've seen it before, and you'll see it again. 3 artifacts out in the center. 3 resourcing locations with a 4th off to the side of either player. Very protected home resourcing location, and the other 2 are quite accessible. So again, this map usually leads to heavy economies, as rushing can be somewhat difficult, though not impossible. It looks like A-Game has gotten the Knef, and he's out here already grabbing a 2nd resourcing location, looking for CUs. Now, on this game, CUs are the yellow or orangish resource here, and then RUs are the blue. CUs are more common, RUs are more rare, and RUs are very important for researching tech and getting higher level vehicles. It looks like that Descara has kept his base runner, whereas the Knef player, AGameAnx, has retired his base runner early on. And his production cruiser is moving out onto the field over towards a resourcing location. And when I look at the queue, Descara is working on a support cruiser, which he's already cranked out, and managed to keep a base runner. So this is going to give him early economy, as well as the ability to snag artifacts. We've got a probe up by Descara, which is great scouting, to keep an eye out just in case the Knef were trying any sneaky blast drone rushes, but blast drone rush kind of difficult on this map because it gets seen without being able to get in behind, so not as likely to see a blast drone rush. And here is some good intel coming in for Descara. Good intel indeed. A 2nd production cruiser up for AGameAnx. And the carrier has moved forward, and it looks like that Descara is going to start opening up his resourcing. He's at full capacity on the home resourcing location, and he's now going to start mining most likely CUs, I'm guessing. Yep, CUs. LAV up, so the first military unit up for each player. Looks like sand skimmers coming out for A-Game. And let's just see the tech here for Descara. I cannot see the tech for A-Game, but Descara is into AAV fabrication.
Be advised. Team en route to recover the artifact.
So AAV is now possible for Descara. Sand skimmer moving up to harass the artifact capture, so A-Game is going to have eyes. You can see that he immediately fans out his sand skimmers to get some intel. A-Game is usually quite good at getting intel, though right now I would say there's probably more intel for Descara at the moment. Yep. First armored assault is up.
Light attack vehicle is under fire.
Fleet capacity deployable out.
Green line confirmed. On our way.
Alright, so the AAV is going to easily push back any sand skimmers.
Taking fire. Green line confirmed.
And at this point it looks like we've got the 2 production cruisers pushing forward, training sand skimmers. If we look at the queue, AGameAnx has, I think, heavy railgun and assault railguns coming up, so he's going for assault and heavy railgun combination, which is a nice combination if played properly, and there are lots of long lines of sight on this map. So sand skimmers here pushing back an LAV. Remember that LAVs have better range, but are slightly slower. Sand skimmers are a bit faster and have more damage, albeit shorter range. Carrier production's going to upgrade for Descara, so he's looking to be able to produce units faster, and here's the first heavy railgun and assault railgun. We've got another railgun on the queue, and Descara is working on another, or he's got 1 railgun and another on the way, and it's a good thing he got these because already the pressure from A-Game is mounting, who has 3 railguns on the field.
We have insufficient CUs.
And you can see this railgun being moved to high ground to protect the resourcing.
Railgun online.
3rd railgun on the way, but A-Game also training railguns. And let's check out the, so we're getting LAV armor for Descara, but his heavy vehicle armor and railgun mag accelerator, not yet. Whereas A-Game has, is this a speed upgrade of some sort for the heavy railgun? Interesting.
Destination set. Destination set.
Construction resources exhausted.
Some of these have it. Heavy railgun does
Railgun
not.
online.
Interesting. I'm not really sure what's causing that because I'm not super familiar with the game. 5 railguns up now for A-Game, along with a few sand skimmers. But we have a near equal amount of railguns up for Descara, and or actually an equal number at this point. So both players fairly equally matched at the moment. When it comes to resourcing, A-Game is doing some long hauls, and Descara has 2 very efficient resource operations.
We got a railgun under fire.
So a little bit of a railgun exchange right now.
Enemy railgun firing on friendly. On our way.
Not super decisive for either player though. 1 railgun going down for A-Game, 1 going down for Descara, so fairly equal trades so far. Let's take a look at the units lost. It's almost exactly equal. Very, very close. A-Game with a slight lead.
We're moving out.
Light attack vehicle in service.
So a lot of LAVs up now.
Strike.
Nice little ball of 8.
Modifications carried out.
There's a decent number of sand skimmers back here. There's 4. And there's assault railguns, I believe, mixed in. Yeah, the assault railguns will also help against light vehicles. They're quite a bit better. 1 artifact up for Descara, and Descara has the base runner where he can try and capture this easy one again. But there's quite a few forces for A-Game. He's going to be able to put pressure. It looks like his production cruisers are falling back. Probably going to be used to do resourcing.
Something on the right, waiting for eyes on to authenticate.
Not seeing any advantage with the rush. He's probably just falling back to get into resourcing and crank out units from home.
Hostile strike craft down.
Nice little push here from the LAVs in the center for Descara. The railguns have kind of a blocked line of sight,
Armored assault
so they
modifications
can't really
carried
return
out.
fire. Using this bumpy ground in the center with the faster moving units or your armored units to stay away from railguns is usually a viable option.
Salvager online.
We're starting to get some long haul resourcing here from Descara, so he's mining at every position, but it's still long haul in the 3rd base. And A-Game is now working, let's check his efficiency. He is at full mining efficiency at this point, so actually slightly ahead of Descara in terms of resourcing.
Green line confirmed.
And he has a pretty fair number of railguns. The question is what's going to come next from these players. Looks like mag accelerator, and then there's heavy vehicle armor level 2 already, so money being invested in the railguns
Railgun operational.
by Descara. Smart move.
Deploying field logistics railgun
And there has been railgun modifications from, I think the boost to speed may be coming from the production cruiser or something,
Railgun online.
because they had it whenever they were up here. But yeah, so there's armor upgrades for
Railgun operational.
A-Game as well.
Reading.
But now damage
Move
upgrades
strike craft taking effective fire.
for Descara. But both players going heavy on the
Coordinates
railguns.
confirmed. We're
Light attack vehicle
LAV
online.
upgrades now coming in, so there may be a combination. I think that Descara is thinking to push his advantage with the LAVs. I wonder if A-Game would potentially
Light attack
go...
vehicle enhancements online.
Well, there's fighter and gunship fabrication now coming in for Descara. It makes me wonder if A-Game might be trying the same thing to go for air tech.
Coordinates confirmed.
Because with both players fielding a lot of railguns and no missile batteries at this point, if one player were to get switched over quickly, look at these assault railguns, putting a huge hurt on the light attack vehicles. That's why they have to watch out for that. But then look at all these heavy railguns back here. May even get to kill 2 assault railguns if the assault railguns can't fall away quick enough.
On our way.
It looks like they will.
Light attack vehicle in service.
Maybe get another shot here at some of these. Depends on the terrain. So a second artifact pulled
Light attack
for
vehicle
Descara.
online.
Enemy light attack vehicle marked on approach.
Let's just see what happens here. Bit of a railgun showdown here. The assault railguns
Light attack
definitely
vehicle in
outgunned.
Keep eyes out for target.
There's quite a few heavy railguns in the back.
Ready. Location marked.
Descara's heavy railgun here has 8 armor and 285 damage. To A-Game's assault railguns have 12 armor, 9 armor on his heavy railguns.
Location marked.
So nice armor upgrades for both players. There's a lot of LAVs.
Aerial strike craft
The assault
now
railguns
available for
should be able to
production.
keep the LAVs at bay. It looks like all these railguns are going to try and get a quick kill here and stop the base runner, though I don't think they'll get enough position quick enough. And they're also risking coming under fire here, but let's see.
Hostile on sensor. On our way.
Yeah, they're not going to do it. The second artifact's going to get captured, but he might be able to kill the base runner nonetheless.
Railgun is taking
No, he's going to focus
effective fire.
railguns.
Enemy railgun
Well, a few
firing
hits here on the
friend.
base runner. Whew, there's a lot of damage coming off the railguns of Descara, and at this point he kind of appears to have a slightly superior military force. There's a third production cruiser up.
Move order confirmed.
Not a lot of power for the Knaff carrier. Sometimes we'll see the Knaff focus on power. And we have strike fighters on the queue now. And then A-Game is going for more sand skimmers. And if A-Game gets caught off guard here with the strike fighters, it could be devastating. And a third artifact capture from a second base runner. So a pretty commanding lead in artifacts right now for Descara, and he has a pretty substantial military. And if he gets a surprise with these strike fighters, it's going to be bad, because he's building up enough to snipe production cruisers. And A-Game could very well lose this match in a big hurry. Yep, strike fighters are up. Let's see what happens.
Carrier repair systems are
There
unavailable.
is no anti-air. I cannot remember if sand skimmers can act as anti-air.
On our way. We've got a salvager under fire.
Let's see what happens.
Carrier production facilities upgraded.
A little bit of a sand skimmer backstab just to draw some attention. The strike fighters moving up the flank. Heavy railguns are caught out in the open. Gonna be a massive loss. But this does tip the hand to A-Game, so he now knows the strike fighters are here. But the question is, how quickly can he act to do something about it? And he is taking a beating on his heavy railguns back here. He needs to spread out as much as possible. And wasting no time, Descara pushes up and starts to put heavy pressure on. So A-Game is now definitely running behind on military. I do believe that the sand skimmers are anti-air because I think they picked up a strike fighter.
Let's move. Go for
Yeah,
carrier.
they picked up one strike fighter.
We have insufficient CU.
Or a production cruiser did it, one of the two.
Coordinates confirmed.
I sometimes forget exactly which units have anti-air capability.
On our way.
I know that LAVs do, and I know that you can research it for support cruisers. I think production cruisers have it built in,
Strike craft taking effective
but sand skimmers I don't recall.
Overdrive, punching. Go, go. Course set. Alert. LAV down. Heading. Green line confirmed. On our way.
So still a lot of skirmishing. The Knaff carrier is now moving up, but it still doesn't have any more power reserve. But you can see here that Descara is actually going to do a research on the power reserve. It looks like maybe interceptors coming up for A-Game. He might try and send some interceptors up to put an end to the strike fighters. A-Game is researching a siege cruiser, or producing a siege cruiser.
Light attack vehicle destroyed.
But can he keep it safe from the strike fighters is the real question.
Possession of an artifact.
Hostile railguns opened up.
A-Game is doing another interceptor.
Visual unconfirmed.
Artifact position authenticated.
We're going to have a pretty powerful carrier here soon for Descara, and he has a lot of strike fighters. He continues to produce strike fighters, and he doesn't think that A-Game has an answer, but there's now going to be 4 interceptors, and interceptors can make fairly short work of strike fighters, I believe. But there is significant pressure on A-Game's forces.
Course set.
Alright, A-Game's launching interceptors.
Course set.
Strike fighter approach vector
Light attack
dialed.
vehicle is under fire.
I don't know if the interceptors have been spotted yet. Only one interceptor in the air at the moment.
Base runner is en route.
Base runner in service.
There's a turret post left here by Descara. Strike fighter's gonna shoot down the interceptor because it got overmatched. So it looks like the strike fighter's capable of downing the interceptors.
Assault boosters now available for production.
Yeah, look at that. Another interceptor down. Only minimal damage to the strike fighters.
Fighter coordinates dialed in.
He's down a couple, but he has a significant number, and the base runners have anti-air and brought down another interceptor. I mean, it's not looking great right now
Attack
for
vehicle in service.
A-Game's actually got a bomber up.
Visually authenticated.
That is definitely a bomber. I'm not misseeing it.
Be advised. Hostile carrier detected. Strike fighter taking
Power reserve 3, so huge power coming into the carrier.
alert for support.
I don't know what to think right now. I personally think that the position is, or the military composition is superior
Alert. Strike fighter destroyed.
for Descara, but there's, yeah, I mean, interceptors being lost pretty heavily and lots of strike fighter damage going on right now from Descara.
Enemy railgun eliminated.
Research completed.
The siege cruiser's safe for now, but the railguns are taking a beating. Knaff carrier just straight into railgun fire, and it is dying extremely quick.
Light attack
It's going to have to fall back. And the interceptors for A-Game are just coming under all kinds of anti-air fire.
Course set. Alert.
They are doing a little damage to the strike fighters. You're seeing a couple of the strike fighters down, and the siege cruiser is helping to keep Descara's forces at bay, as are the large ball of sand skimmers. Descara has another artifact, And he's 3 artifacts up, so the pressure's on A-Game, who does have 2 siege cruisers now parked. And they are keeping Descara's forces somewhat pinned up here. That is a nice hit with the siege cruiser, doing some good damage to the light attack vehicles. And this base runner is going to get caught out by sand skimmers. They're not really focusing it though, they're going for the light attack vehicles, who have pretty significant upgrades. The sand skimmers don't have any.
Strike fighter coordinates dialed in.
So the real question is, what is A-Game's next move? He's got a base runner up, and he's looking to pull some artifacts himself to try and close the gap, I'm guessing. Still no power for the Knef carrier, so cruise missiles not an option, but the siege cruisers parked here in the center are fairly safe from the railguns. They are not safe from the strike fighters, however. And the strike fighters are going to attempt to snipe a siege cruiser, and they are probably going to get it. Yes, they will. The strike fighters are a very real problem. And look at him, just going to smoke that interceptor after having taken out the siege cruiser. A-Game has got to come up with an answer to the strike fighters, because right now he is just getting overwhelmed by air power. And there are 2 artillery cruisers coming up now for Descara. So Descara trying to answer the long-range capability right now that is being demonstrated by A-Game's. Oh, look at this. The base runner's trying to pick up an artifact, and it looks like it probably will because the strike fighters ran out of ammo and fuel. Finally, a missile ship up for A-Game. Turret post nicely placed here to protect the base runner from this attack. So Descara being quite crafty. A-Game's got another siege cruiser coming, and there are enough missile batteries for protection, so the reign of terror from the strike fighters is probably over unless they're extremely well handled. But look, now the carrier's so powerful that Descara can use it to push his artifact, and he has his own artillery cruiser. Siege cruiser is trying to answer. Here comes the barrage. The strike fighters are up, but they're going to meet a nasty response from the missile ships. But it looks like the strike fighters are interested in stopping the base runner of AGameAnx to keep him from being able to capture more artifacts, and now the missile ships making their presence felt. But this carrier is going to... Oh, look at this backstab. Look at this. The sand skimmers could save the day, but there's not enough of them to take out the base runner, so they're going to have to fall back. Strike fighters are under heavy fire at this point, but I think that the carrier's so powerful, it's going to make the push, and I'm pretty sure A-Game's going to lose this game to Descara. I don't see how he can stop this artifact capture. This double artifact push is very well supported by the carrier. Let's just watch and see what will happen, if anything. A-Game is going to be desperate to stop at least one of these artifacts to keep the game going. And there is a bombardment. It's doing damage, but there are just not enough units here to stop this. A-Game is going to lose. He lost one siege cruiser, he's about to lose another. Even with the missile ships, the strike fighters have still just managed to run wild. What a game. Well played by Descara. He's going to take game 1. Remember, it is a best of 5 in the finals, though. So congratulations to Descara on game 1. A-Game, though, is quite a player. He's quite a player, so we'll see what happens. But again, well played by Descara. A nice fight back by A-Game, but Descara just got the edge there and kept pushing it, and those artifact captures added up, and he got it. I'll see you in game 2. Welcome to game 2 of Artifact Cup 18's final match between AGameAnx and Descara. This is A-Game. He is playing as a random faction, so this time he is the Soban. And when you play as a random faction in the Artifact Cup, part of the rule is when you get into the match, you have to go ahead and send a chat message to your opponent to tell him what faction you got. So that is the rule. So Soban, what is their focus for those not as familiar with the game? Their focus is on railgun tech. So they have very superior railguns. And they also have armed logistics modules, which are modules that as they get powered up will do significantly more damage and stunning to enemy units, but it requires power from the carrier here in this branch of the tech. So let's go over and take a look at the coalition forces of Mr. Descara, who cleanly took game 1. Oh, he has a white and green scheme going on. That's kind of cool. So yes, he took game 1. And his coalition forces, again, he's holding on to the base runner early, maybe hoping to get another artifact victory like he did in the previous game. Both players on this game. So this map is an interesting one. You can definitely rush on this map, though I don't know if I see this. I mean, the Soban can rush probably just about the same as the Coalition.
Moving to new waypoint.
So both of these factions are probably the same capabilities. Like an AAV rush can be very painful if a player's not ready for it, though I would think that both of these players are crafty enough to overcome such a thing. So quickly a support cruiser out for A-Game, who looks like he's going to focus on economy early. He's moving into AAV fabrication, and he's going to be trying to open up his second artifact, or his second resource location. A probe in again from Descara, getting the early intel, a light attack vehicle up, probably hoping to push the probe back and get some of his own scouting data. So you can see the probe pulling back. Again, these players at this level very good at microing their troops and keeping an eye on the battlefield despite it being far away. Artifacts are up. Early capture coming for Descara. He picks the farthest artifact because this is the point at which there will be the least resistance usually from an enemy player. So he's going to pick the furthest artifact, probably hoping to capture this one later, or the middle one. So I like that pick.
Prep for displacement.
2 sand skimmers out for A-Game. Now 3 doing some scouting, but there's already an AAV up for Descara, so Descara will have slower speed, but plenty of defensive capability. 3 LAVs are going to have a hard time pulling down a base runner that's supported by an AAV.
Contact enemy armor.
Let's take a look at the tech. Missile battery fabrication early for A-Game. It's going to cost him, but it does give him safety in case there's another strike fighter rush.
Destination set.
Enemy contact on the board.
2 AAVs up.
Hostile contact on the board.
So this artifact will be captured by Descara. He's going to take another early artifact lead.
Assault in service.
A little bit of miss micro here from A-Game. He's going to catch it though and back that unit out of there, though he might lose it.
On the board.
He started moving kind of late there, and the AAV's got enough range. Yeah, he's going to actually lose it.
LAV destroyed.
This AAV is going to push the resourcing, but A-Game is clearly aware of that, and he's going to make the move over here to cut it off. And then over here there's a bit of an exchange between these AAVs, almost no different. Well, the stats should be equal, actually.
Hostile unit marked.
Railgun fabrication coming down for the Soban. Great choice. Soban railguns are excellent. There's going to be a missile battery up early, so any strike fighter nonsense that might come from Descara will get shut down this time, if he tries it. But he may not try it.
Missile battery construction complete.
Yeah, with the armed logistics modules, it's going to be hard. Look at this here. A-Game actually might stop this artifact. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think there's just quite enough damage to do it. It's going to be close, but he can't stop it. Yeah, he's not going to be able to stop it. Just not enough damage per second there. So the artifact will go to Descara. So he's up to a 1-0 lead. But A-Game is quickly asserting some military presence. And when we take a look at the economy, there's a 2-base economy with long haul from a 3rd for Descara. And it's a 2-base economy for A-Game, and Descara is parked over here looking to keep him from being able to get into a 3rd base, but with the railgun up, that is going to be over.
New heading set. Coordinates confirmed. Coordinates confirmed.
Strike fighters, yep, strike fighters indeed. I missed them earlier on the production queue, so here come the strike fighters. The missile ship is going to, or the missile battery is going to have to try and get in position. He already lost a railgun.
Enemy interceptor engaging unit.
So it looks like more missile batteries are coming up for A-Game, as he doesn't want this to happen again.
Hostile contact marked.
But definitely Descara hoping to find success with the same type of strategy, knowing that railguns are probably going to be a, easy to predict pick for the Soban.
Alert. Hostile strike
Support
fighter
cruiser is
overhead.
up,
Destination set.
but there is a missile battery to protect it.
Armored unit lost.
Green line confirmed.
Another missile battery on the field.
Contact. Enemy strike fighter airborne.
Coordinates
So the strike fighters are about to lose their dominance.
Alert. Hostile strike fighter overhead.
And the more money that gets spent on strike fighters at this point by Descara should just work out to the benefit of A-Game if he has enough defense with the
on our way.
missile batteries. But it depends too on how well a player can micromanage their air. And some of these players can do it very, very well.
Ready order.
Salvager online.
More railguns coming back up for the Soban forces of A-Game. He's got his 3rd base unlocked now, and it will be defended. Missile battery's probably going to catch this probe if it strays too close. One shot and that probe will go down. The probe has good range, and it might be able to spot that missile battery before it gets too close. Let's see.
Enemy
Nope.
signature identified.
It's dead. So probe down.
Tracking hostile.
Another artifact on the move for Descara. There's another probe over here too, so look how he kind of parks these probes on top of these formations, and he's able to spot this
Enemy
backstab here from A-Game.
Enemy base runner.
I like the combination of units here. The strike fighters are going to come in and try and get a piece of it, but they're going to be forced back pretty quickly by the missile battery, who puts down some pretty serious damage. And A-Game is already moving a missile battery and an armored assault to try and stop this artifact capture. If he could get a railgun up that direction, it would be helpful, but it looks like A-Game is pushing. So it's like it's almost like he's guessing here, hey look, the artifact by Descara is being pushed to his right, so he's pushing a huge army to his left, and he might be able to catch Descara off balance over here. So this is actually a pretty sweet play, I think, by A-Game, and there is no probe or anything to spot this at the moment. Let's just see what happens. Actually, it looks like the strike fighters are going to come this direction, looking to get around A-Game's flank. They might spot it. No, they didn't. But, well, they are going to see some units coming this direction. He loses a strike fighter, but I don't think he got all the scouting info there. Looks like the carrier is going to push up to make sure that the artifact can be captured. So this means that all the resourcing back here too will be somewhat unguarded. And it looks like A-Game is just building up a significant force here and looking to make a push.
Rally point designated. Move out.
There are some LAVs now moving to this side, maybe a backstab.
Tracking enemy target.
And again, it's going to spot this incoming attack, but the LAVs won't be sufficient to stop it.
Move and engage on sight.
The missile battery can see the strike fighters. Okay, so at this point, Descara definitely smells the ruse,
Enemy engaging armored
and his
units.
strike fighters are going to
Enemy
try and do
interceptor
some damage here. But if the armored assault can pull back,
Enemy strike
it'll get
fighter
protection
airborne.
from the missile battery.
To rally point.
The missile batteries can get upgraded later to do even more
Hostile
damage.
Contact marked.
Heavy vehicle armor upgraded.
Wow, 2 artifacts going to come in, and it looks like the carrier here for
Moves out there.
Descara is going to try and make a push to push off of this resourcing, but there's a lot of railguns here. That's not going to work.
Enemy forces.
And there's a pretty significant force back here for A-Game too, so I think A-Game is in good shape here. He's definitely going to force back this carrier, which has been somewhat weaponized.
Hostile unit marked.
But once the railguns push up, the carrier has to back off. There is no way the carrier can withstand that railgun right now.
Target set. Underway.
And over here, A-Game has a very, what would appear to be a successful attack maybe going here.
Placing.
Let's see.
Await orders.
Hostile strike craft eliminated.
Watch the use.
A-Game only has 1 AAV here.
On our way.
Should be sufficient to stop this counter. It would be good if there was another AAV here for A-Game. But he does have enough to push back the resourcing, so now A-Game is ahead in the resourcing department.
Destination set.
And he has a significant push coming down his right flank, so he's got a pincer going on right now. You can see the pincer coming down both flanks. And with superior resourcing at this point, he's going to be putting Descara in a hit. You can see he's just going to park here and keep Descara off the resourcing in time for his second force probably to put the pressure on. So Descara goes up to an early lead on artifacts, but A-Game definitely has a military advantage at this point. There's a lot of strike fighters up, but there is air protection. But let's see if it's enough.
Placing now.
It looks like Descara may be trying to dislodge this somewhat damaged force over here with light attack vehicles, which is a good choice.
Enemy
Here comes the strike fighters. They're going to come in and just start trying to kill railguns and the missile battery. But the missile battery is returning fire, though it is going to get sniped. And it's only taken out a little bit of the strike fighter. There is another missile battery though, so the strike fighters are going to take heavy damage in this process. But I think that Descara is just trying to overwhelm A-Game on this flank, and he will do so. But A-Game has a significant push coming from the opposite flank, and now a little bit of reinforcements. There is a ton of strike fighters up. So even though there's air protection, there are so many strike fighters that it's still proving to be difficult.
Enemy sighted.
And it looks like more resources being pulled, so A-Game is going to have to put some serious pressure, or say more resources, another artifact being pulled. A-Game's going to have to put some pretty serious pressure.
An LAV has been lost.
LAVs will be returning some fire to the strike fighters
Armored
now.
vehicle destroyed. LAV taking effective fire.
Confirmed.
Yep, enough that they're going to actually take out a couple of strike fighters.
Railgun destroyed.
That one bouncing off the mountain. And here comes the other push for
Enemy target.
A-Game. So he's now going to be able to pressure the other resource location. So there's already one resource location that was knocked out for a while. And it looks like that Descara is going to be able to retake it. But at the same time, he's going to lose this one on the other flank. And let's see if A-Game... Yeah, A-Game's got another military force kind of coming. And it looks like he's going to try and really put the pressure on now. Nice lines of sight out here for the railguns. And this is going to put A-Game in a strong position as he can push back all this resourcing. With missile batteries up front and an AAV for protection. His railguns are putting a big hurt. But here comes the strike fighters.
Green line confirmed.
Strike fighter is going to be pushed back by the missile batteries, at least momentarily. But the strike fighter's not giving up. They know they have to slow down this force of A-Game. They are slowly and steadily being killed. A-Game's going to fall back a little bit here because there's a lot of pressure from the carrier and the LAVs, and he doesn't have the best protection from them. He has some of his own LAVs inbound, so he needs to buy himself time. The carrier is taking out railguns. The missile batteries, yeah, heavy damage here because the carriers, but the carrier is also being damaged heavily in return. Look at the damage that comes off these Soban railguns. Almost down to half on the carrier. A nice attempt at a cluster mortar there, but it did miss. LAVs can help protect. Armor upgrade for the LAVs on A-Game. LAVs for Descara, no upgrades. So Descara off to an early artifact lead, but again, A-Game's pressure militarily here is pretty significant. He's got a base runner up now too, and he's running an artifact. The strike fighters continue to harass, and there is no protection here for these railguns. So despite the anti-air capability, the damage still being done by the strike fighters. There's more LAVs coming though, and they can do a little bit of damage to the strike fighters, so yep, A-Game's done it. He's taken down those strike fighters. This LAV push is going to be dangerous though. Artillery cruiser up. Didn't catch that, so here's the artillery cruiser for Descara, pushing back the railguns, which is definitely needed because the Descara's carrier is in a bit of trouble. But again, a pretty dominant force here for A-Game, though the artillery cruiser is going to be a bit of a problem because it can do some nice standoff against the what would otherwise be superior Soban railguns. Soban LAVs moving up. They're a bit faster than the artillery barrage, so they're going to get in and try and get... Ooh, they got caught right there. They got tagged. And the carrier is moving up to try... Oh, look at that artillery cruiser. Just gets destroyed by Soban railguns. And the Soban railguns are making it real right now. Listen to that awesome sound. Look at the pressure coming in here by A-Game with a big push. The coalition carrier is in big trouble. The artillery cruiser is trying to make it right, but A-Game is microing his units away from the barrage area and continue to pressure from other angles. The carrier is in very bad shape. It's down to about half health, but it is receiving some help. It's got its reactive armor all the way up to full. And the artillery cruisers are hammering away. And the healing is going to be on for the coalition cruiser as well. So A-Game moving into a position here. Oh, he was probably trying to get a mortar up over the mountain, but it didn't work out. He got hit by the artillery cruiser.
Railgun assembly complete.
There's one artillery cruiser and 2 artifacts just dropped for A-Game.
Resource units
There will be no artifact capture right now for Descara unless he can break the forces of A-Game, who has an assault cruiser now, not a typical unit. Assault cruiser is fast and hits hard. It has to beware of railguns, but it will do quite well to push back stuff like LAVs. And it's pretty quick for a cruiser unit.
Coordinates confirmed.
The artillery cruisers have great range, but they have to be careful because the railguns do also. And the railguns can put out... Oh, look at this beautiful backstab by A-Game. Gonna pick up a support cruiser. That's huge. That is absolutely huge.
Set new heading.
Devastating blow for Descara, who is trying to keep his resourcing going, but he is pincered by A-Game. And A-Game now has pressure on both sides of Descara.
Enemy unit detected.
And at this point, let's just take a look at tech. Battle cruiser fabrication. And a battle cruiser, though, for A-Game is an interesting choice because the battle cruiser is a railgun battlecruiser, not your typical battlecruiser. It has longer range, and it's not a unit that you see very often. Vehicle damage upgrades for his LAVs, which is a smart choice. This artifact here for A-Game is in big trouble, as it's going to be undefended. There are speed and armor upgrades for the LAVs, and this is a lot of LAVs.
Tracking enemy target.
If he has a nice net of armed logistics modules back here, he can, yeah, and this is going to be an attempt by Descara to just make a massive hit on the economy. Maybe? No, he's going to pull it back. He's kind of worried. He kind of needs it to protect his own home, and knowing that these LAVs are on the way, you're going to see A-Game push over here.
Tracking hostile.
And at this point, the LAVs of A-Game can help defend. That is a massive ball of LAVs.
Hostile contact on the board.
Artillery cruiser for A-Game is on the field. Battlecruiser fabrication is still being researched. So he has an answer to the artillery cruisers, and he's got this assault cruiser now, which is going to pack a huge wallop.
Enemy on sensors.
And it's moving up to take out logistics modules. There's an AAV for support. I'm wondering if the ball of LAVs is going to try and take down the assault cruiser. The assault cruiser is fairly quick, and if microed properly, can probably stay out of the artillery barrage. Railgun trying to get a good position here. I'm loving the assault cruiser. Look at the micro in the assault cruiser too, dodging volley after volley. But look at that well-placed volley from the artillery cruiser. Finally gets a little damage done. And the LAVs are going to probably try and push the railguns. Nice mortar there by A-Game, pushed him back. And this assault cruiser is taking huge damage. It's getting some damage done now, but with the carrier pushed up, it's going to be outgunned heavily. So the assault cruiser is going to drop, but the railguns continue to push. There is a huge LAV brawl over here. LAV on LAV. The artillery cruiser is taking a little bit of fire, and the cruiser for the coalition putting down some punishing turret fire here. Artillery cruiser moving into position for A-Game, though it's going to be out. It's going to be outgunned.
It's a straight shot. Go.
Most of A-Game's military units are actually down at the moment. He's lost a considerable number of units, but Descara has also taken significant damage, and his economy is in shambles. And Descara's going to call it quits there. With his economy ruined, there was really no way to bring that back, so definitely understand him conceding defeat at that point. So the first game went to Descara, the second game went to A-Game. Remember that this is a best of 5, so both players are neck and neck. And let's see what happens in Game 3. Alright, YouTube, welcome back to Game 3. Here we are watching from the perspective of the coalition forces of Descara, who is already... Well, he started to go into fighter and gunship fabrication and then switched to railgun. We've got some early skirmishing here between the LAVs of the coalition and the sand skimmers of A-Game's Gaussian. Remember that he chose random, and so far he has gotten 3 different factions in 3 different games. So Gaussian, definitely a cool faction, awesome looking cruiser. So the Gaussian obviously are a pretty rushy faction. Is the way that some people tend to play them, but at this point does not look like a rush tactic from A-Game. Looks like he's settling in for potentially a longer game. I don't think either of these players probably feels like that they are going to gain a really easy early advantage over the other, and they both seem to be playing slightly more conservative in the open, attempting to gain an economic advantage and then push that.
Research completed.
Pretty decent number of sand skimmers here. Now, do you remember that Gaussian and Kneff forces, when they exit combat, they actually start to heal? So if a player is good at kiting, they can really make their forces cause a lot of damage and be very cost effective. But do remember the sand skimmers are a bit weaker, and they have shorter range than the LAVs, but they rely on speed to get close and do the damage. Look at this though, a sand skimmer sitting here to watch for backstab, so nice job by A-Game, who's already got an assault railgun up and a second production cruiser. And then if I look at the tech here,
push up to that point.
Let's see what tech choice that Descara takes next. He has AAV fabrication.
Railgun operational.
He's getting some more resourcers, salvagers I should say. And it looks like this sand skimmer out here is going to get spotted by the LAV. But it was just there for scouting.
order confirmed.
Salvager online.
On our way.
So A-Game has
Order
more... What was that? Was it a missile battery? Yeah,
Coordinates
missile battery.
Salvager online.
It would be a missile ship for the Gaussian, yeah. So he came up with 2 missile ships, so he's watching for early strike fighters. This time, no strike fighters, though. Oh yeah, actually, look at that. Sure enough, Descara goes into fighter gunship. So A-Game is going to have protection from it right away. So this will actually be probably wasted investment here from Descara, but I say wasted. I mean, A-Game had to pay for the missile ship fabrication. So both players investing resources is really more of a wash at that point.
Roger. Displacing.
Gaussian forces are going to have all 3 resourcing locations locked down with missile ship protection. The assault railguns are going to be great against balls of LAVs, and they have pretty good range to move around on this map.
Alert, light attack vehicle destroyed. Keep the speed up.
I wonder if he saw the missile ships. Even if he did, he hasn't switched his research.
Location marked.
Acknowledged. Guarding support cruiser.
He's still wanting to push the strike fighters at the moment.
Destination set.
Yeah, I don't know if Descara saw that or not.
Rally point set. Move to
Quite a
location.
few military units up for the Gaussian already, and a very strong economy very early
Aerial
on.
infrastructure complete.
But there is a pretty strong economy over here for
Hostile light attack
the
vehicle visually authenticated.
coalition, but they are long hauling the 3rd location. So not quite as good. So A-Game is picking up an economic lead right now.
Online.
And it looks like he's using it to build up his military.
Support cruiser now operational.
A second support cruiser up for the coalition forces of Descara, so he will be able to get that 3rd resource location up to full.
Unidentified craft on approach. Mark the bearing. Hostile
There is
visual unconfirmed.
no artifacts underway right now.
Coordinates confirmed.
A railgun up for Descara, and it has a great high ground position here with a long line of sight. The first strike fighters are coming out for Descara.
Fighter ready for service.
Missile batteries are in key protective lanes here. You can see one on this lane and another here.
We have insufficient CU. Fighter approach vector dialed in.
Attack vector dialed in.
There are soon going to be enough strike fighters to try and snipe a production cruiser, but it's likely their target will be railguns. A 3rd production cruiser up for the Gaussian. So it'll be interesting to see whether A-Game uses that to free his carrier, or to use the production cruiser to do some work out here in the center. I don't know, we'll see. These LAVs are pushing up. There is a stray missile ship over here. And there's still 2 missile ships back here. The 6 strike fighters is a pretty serious threat. The missile ship does not have any upgrades, armor upgrades for the railguns. This missile ship gets caught out here, but it's gonna kill quite a few of these LAVs, but then the strike fighters are gonna catch it, and that's gonna leave all these assault railguns unguarded too, so they're gonna want to fall back to the cover of this other missile ship. Yeah, 1 strike fighter down, so a huge strike fighter push once again by Descara, so he's trying a strategy that worked for him in the first game, and he's getting a lot of kills. Right now, he's got enough strike fighters that even the missile ships are actually kind of vulnerable, but he does manage to push them back. And there's many more missile ships on the queue. A-Game's had enough. He's going to crank out the missile ships.
Coordinates confirmed.
Armored assault online.
And he's got a pretty good number of railguns too. I don't think the strike fighters are going to easily get anything done once these 3 missile ships come up. And A-Game's production capacity is huge right now because he's got 3 production cruisers.
Move order confirmed.
Oh, the assault railguns laying down some devastating barrages on these light attack vehicles. Look at that. Dead men tell no tales. Woo! That last LAV thought it was going to get away.
Green line confirmed.
Strike fighter online.
Looks like he's queuing up a bunch of strike fighters. He met with some success with the strike fighters the first round, so maybe he's hoping for round 2, and he is... Descara is just really doubling down on the strike fighters at this point. I'm not sure if he knows that A-Game doubled down on the missile batteries.
Strike fighter ready for service. Dialed in.
Enemy armor on approach.
This is
Hostile light
gonna be a make or break, I think. He has just poured money into strike fighters. Here comes a huge ball of strike fighters. They're gonna try and snipe one missile battery, but there are other missile batteries around, and the damage is gonna start to mount for the strike fighters, but there are tons of them, and they just continue to push. They're gonna try and maybe snipe missile ships, but so much damage to the strike fighters.
Be advised. Team en route
Yeah,
to
the strike
recover the
fighters were
artifact.
devastated in that attack.
On the horizon, waiting for eyes on to authenticate.
And A-Game now has so many railguns, I don't know how Descara gets himself out of this.
Get us underway.
He's got all these assault railguns making a push, and there's going to be very little that Descara can do to stop it. Look at the missile ships all over the battlefield.
Alert. LAV.
There's several back here. There's one up front.
Fighter online.
New sector designated. Move out.
Strike fighters are going to have to try and push this back, but there's only so many left, and they're refueling.
Move out.
Assault railguns pushing back resources, and now the damage is really going to compound for Descara,
Coordinates confirmed.
because he's going to start losing the economy even worse than he already was, because he was slower to get to the 3 base.
Strike systems online. Unknown inbound.
The Gaussian carrier is moving up, and it doesn't have a lot of power, but it's moving up to add some extra tankiness, probably.
Enemy railgun firing on friendly.
Look at this positioning of the heavy railguns back here on the high ground.
Move confirmed.
We have insufficient CUs.
Strike fighters are out. There are 2 missile batteries over here, and more moving forward. Nicely positioned railguns from Descara, but ooh, he takes a nasty barrage from these heavy railguns over here. No upgrades on Descara's railguns, armor upgrades on the Gaussian railguns. These assault railguns are going to be a nasty little number to deal with. Strike fighters push in, hoping to do so, but the fire from the missile batteries is going to be relentless at this point, and the damage will be limited. Like I said, I just don't see Descara fighting himself out of this one. A-Game has great position over in these hills, and he can push in as he desires with these assault railguns, and his longer range heavy railguns will be able to provide support, and the missile batteries are keeping the strike fighters in check.
We've got a salvager under fire.
Yep, the assault railguns pushed, and then the heavy railguns have pushed up to the top of the hill.
Sensors post is under fire. Armor vehicle taking.
I'm not really sure what the heavy railguns are firing at. I think they're firing at the salvagers, and they're just hitting the terrain. I would have thought they'd be firing at the carrier. Yep, at that point, though, Descara's going to throw in the towel, so it's now 2-1 for A-Game. If A-Game wins the next one, he is going to take Artifact Cup 18, so Descara has to win the next match to try and force a Game 5. Otherwise, he's out. I will see you in Game 4. YouTube, welcome back to the Deserts of Kharak, where we are in Game 4 of Artifact Cup 18's final between AGameAnx, who is playing as the Knef because he is a random faction pick in this match, and still the coalition forces of Descara. There are some blast drones up early, 3 of them, so it looks like A-Game is going to try a very nasty early blast drone thing, which a lot of players in this game think is a bit dirty, but after having played a lot of Total War, I don't know, man. Nothing that people do in Deserts of Kharak really seems dirty compared to some of the cheese that we see in Total War. Salvager getting taken out there, but that was 2 blast drones for a single Salvager, so I'm not sure that was a good trade. Salvager here is going to eat it, so 2 Salvagers down, and A-Game is going to keep the blast drone assault up while keeping a base runner to try and get early artifacts. But these blast drones are not free. They cost as much as an LAV, and now there is an armored assault vehicle up. But it depends on how well... see, this AAV here is going to hurt these blast drones. He needs to split up his salvagers. Oh my goodness. Ooh, that was ugly. This blast drone did not explode, or else it would have been pretty devastating for Descara, so he got pretty lucky there that that one was not able to suicide itself. 2 artifacts early for the Knef player on the move, but there are 2 armored assaults, 3 armored assaults, and now actually the game turns dangerously against A-Game and his Knef here. He's just now getting Sandskimmer fabrication, and he has almost no answer other than blast drones. So the more he continues to spend on blast drones, it's kind of like the deeper you dig this hole. So that's the challenge with blast drones. You spend on them early to try and get that early advantage, and it's a high risk reward scenario. Lots of risk. But the early power for the Kneff carrier, and because of the missile systems of the Kneff carrier, can be extremely handy. A little bit of damage done to these AAVs. He's still going to get the artifact capture, but you don't want to lose your base runner either, because you're already burning through CUs with blast drones. And then to lose the base runner is just going to compound the injury. Really should start focusing on the next base runner. There's a third artifact in the run, so a very interesting strategy here from A-Game to just try and cram artifacts in early and to have put pressure on the economy of Descara early so that he can do so. Another capture going to be made here. The third capture is going to be questionable. And A-Game has to be burning through CUs at a phenomenal rate here because of the artifact or the blast drones. This does give A-Game some extra power for his carrier early on, but he's spent so much money on blast drones. This is not going to capture right here. So there will be 2 artifacts captured, but I do not believe the third one. Well, there was a smoke dropped, but it's not going to work. Yeah, it's not going to work. So nice try, but he's going to lose the third artifact. I really think that A-Game is in bad shape now for a counterattack, and that's exactly what I would do if I was Descara. I would immediately counterattack with the AAVs, because I would know how much money had to have been spent on the blast drones. I say that, I'm not any good at this game, so I would hope that's what I would do. As a caster, that's what I'm saying I would do. What I would do in the real match would actually be probably quite different. But yeah, I think A-Game is going to be in a pretty hurt scenario right now. So another support cruiser up, so the economy of A-Game is going to be what suffers here, because he cannot spend the money on the extra production cruisers.
Capacity increased.
And the resourcing mode for the production cruisers. He's going to move the Kneff carrier up here to try and keep these armored assault ships back.
Move to destination. Combat alert. Knowledge control carriers under attack.
So the carrier is going to use its missiles and turrets, but these AAVs can go faster than the Kneff carrier, and they're probably just going to bypass him and try and get back here and cause damage. Yeah, this is bad for A-Game. This is very bad. I do not think he can stop this. He has another base runner up. I don't see it happening. I think A-Game's going to be defeated here. Nice cruise missile. I don't know what he has in mind, but he's pushing forward with his carrier, just leaving his resources. He's just going to get mobbed by AAVs back here.
Enemy forces engaging cruiser.
Is he going to just try and go for a carrier kill? A-Game's gone into, I think, like a desperate final attack here, knowing that he can't defend. I think he's just going to try and push his carrier forward and try and capture the artifacts to win the game.
Salvager lost. Go to the working front.
But if one artifact is stopped, just one artifact is stopped, then A-Game's strategy here is done. And remember, he has no access to resources right now. His production cruiser's dead. He's done in terms of resourcing, so he's putting out some blast drones. And he's gonna, like I said, he's gonna have to pull all 3 artifacts. And I just don't see how that's gonna happen with all these AAVs around. Look, this base runner right here is already dead, I think. It can smoke and try and get away, but maybe the blast drones can stop this. It's gonna need to smoke and run. Drop a smoke and just run.
Base runner under fire.
One base runner down and it's over. So this is for the game right here, and to take it to a game 5.
Hostile support cruiser within sensor range.
I would think these blast drones really need to do something about these AAVs back here. He's gonna stop this. A-Game will not get this artifact. And these ones are under fire now, so I am almost certain at this point that this game goes to Descara. So it was a pretty valiant last attempt there, but leaving this base runner unguarded proved fatal.
Adjust course. Maintain fire.
He can try and kill the carrier.
Carrier self-repair systems offline. We have located an artifact.
There's a slim chance that by disrupting all this resourcing and pushing the coalition carrier that A-Game might be able to pull back a victory, but it is a slim chance, I think, at this point. I mean, the resourcing has been completely disrupted by A-Game, But he hasn't captured any more artifacts, and this support cruiser escapes over here to pull more resources, so that gives a huge advantage. Nice shot. Nice shot. A-Game has nothing but his carrier, and kudos to him, he's not giving up. He's gonna go chase down the resourcing operation, and Descara knows it, and so he just goes ahead and moves. So see, look, A-Game is... He understands he can't let Descara resource, but Descara should be able to just run away from him and resource somewhere. And all A-Game can do is use his carrier to pressure things. And any little bits of resources that get back to Descara are going to give him a huge, much-needed advantage. Yeah, look, see, he's predicting that he's resourcing over here, and he's wrong. He doesn't have any intel. So all he can do is assume it's there, but he's wrong. And Descara is going to run to the other side of the map and basically take over where A-Game was at. A-Game is got very little options here. I'm going to actually fast forward for a moment, because we're going to be in between action. And if Descara can come over here and pick up a few hundred CUs and some resource units, he's going to be able to produce more units and just kind of help seal the fate of A-Game at this point. Again, though, major kudos to A-Game for not giving up here, and despite what looked like a game that he was definitely going to lose, he put up a valiant effort there with the base runners trying to make the triple capture. He moved off, I think, a little too far with his carrier, but it may not have worked either way. These railguns with a nice commanding position up here will be able to do immense damage to the K'nef carrier. So here comes the K'nef carrier, moving up ever so slowly. Line of sight is blocked, so the railguns are going to move up. And he's going to see these guys, and there's a fair number of cruise missiles available. So although Descara is resourcing, losing units like this will cause those resources to be burned up. It's going to be really hard for him to kill a lot of units, though. See how these units are kind of all over the place now? They're going to just be doing slow, steady damage, and A-Game is going to be forced to attempt to kill them. And he's doing it. He's causing a lot of damage. If A-Game wins this, man, it's just going to solidify this guy's reputation as the best Deserts of Kharak player. At least that's the way I knew it from watching other games. Maybe he's not anymore, but he is putting on a show here.
Enemy salvage destroyed.
Carrier defensive weapons.
He's taken a lot of damage. The railguns are actually being healed. A-Game would have to fall back and try and repair his carrier. And if he does so, though, it's just going to allow more resourcing. Kind of like to see him try and nuke these salvagers with the
Course marked. Advance on that position.
I'm not sure what this one was fired at, but it's a clean miss.
Carrier self-repair systems offline.
Yeah, A-Game's desperate push here looks like it's running out of steam.
Carrier defensive weapons online.
There's just too much fire coming in from the railguns, and they're going to swarm him from all directions. And then now the carrier can push forward as well. And A-Game's going to go down in a blaze of glory. So it is actually tied, and it's going to go to Game 5. So here we are in a round of 5, and it's going clear to Game 5, and I will see you there, and we'll see who's going to take Artifact Cup 18 home. And welcome to the Galcian territories for Game 5 of Artifact Cup 18. It all comes down to this, folks. Either AGameAnx wins and takes it home for himself, or Descara will win and take the cup. Both players are actually the Coalition, so this is a mirror matchup, and A-Game, interesting enough, early on appears to be going down the same tech tree that was used against him by Descara. So is this going to be an ironic type ending where he tries to use the same overwhelming strike fighter fabrication strategy? It's going to be interesting to see. Descara, though, already going into strike fighters himself, so both players potentially trying to use the same means to an end.
Aerial infrastructure complete.
Both players have AAVs.
Online.
Board is green. Let's roll.
Research completed.
And A-Game is just ignoring the AAVs of Descara and wants to go put some pressure of his own. But the strike fighters, already 3 of them up for Descara, and they're going to shut down that armored assault vehicle.
Alert. Hostile strike fighter in
Strike fighter's not coming for A-Game too, so he's going to answer strike fighter for strike fighter, but there are already 4 in the air for Descara. This guy is fast with the strike fighters.
We've got a salvager
And he
under
is
fire.
serious about his strike fighters. Now over here, this is going to be a problem.
Report on that
Approach
position.
vector dialed in.
A-Game is now launching his strike fighters. So strike fighters up for A-Game, and they're going to start taking down strike fighters for Descara. And remember, Descara has already... He's going for a snipe on the support cruiser,
Attack course set.
which would be terrible loss for A-Game. Oh my gosh, he's going to get it. Holy cow. What a play. That puts Descara in a pretty early commanding position because the economy of A-Game is going to be hurt bad. But A-Game at least has air defense in terms of his own strike fighters to counter the strike fighters of Descara. But look at this base runner being used to lay down some extra anti-air fire. And there is a real dogfight going out under center. And A-Game is going to have to fight to keep his economy intact by pushing back this AAV. Long hauling is going to have to be used here until he gets another support cruiser up, which I don't know if that's exactly what he was training or not. So that early support cruiser kill by Descara could prove to be fatal, but A-Game wins the aerial duel.
Salvager has been engaged.
There are still 4 strike fighters on for Descara, it looks like. But A-Game has a commanding lead in strike fighters at the moment, but remember that his economy took major damage. There is a support cruiser back up. Let's go look at the units lost.
Steady pace.
It's actually pretty even. So neither player actually way behind, but it depends on whether or not the loss of the support cruiser was worse for A-Game than the loss of the strike fighters for Descara.
Go for carrier.
We do not have enough RUs.
Missile battery fabrication coming in for A-Game now, so hoping to support his strike fighters from the ground.
Dialed in.
Descara just continuing to crank out strike fighters at the moment.
Push up to that
He has a
point.
2-base economy, and he's starting a 3rd. Strike fighters up for A-Game, who has superior numbers. If he can find these strike fighters, he's going to see him with the LAVs, and he can now try and coordinate the dogfight, but the base runner again putting pressure from an anti-air standpoint. Look at that though, got some nice hits, but didn't actually kill a strike fighter. And Descara may turn around and come back to challenge now that he has 6 strike fighters in the air.
Strike systems online. Ready to burn.
Light attack vehicle.
All of A-Game's strike fighters up at this point.
We're up and running.
So a huge aerial duel going on. I've never seen this tactic used against itself. The first artifact went to Descara, but then he's going to lose that base runner. It doesn't have support. Big dogfight. Nice missile shots there by A-Game. So he's going to make Descara pay.
Hostile interceptor down. Moving.
And then this base runner could get sniped here.
Hostile forces are attempting to extract an artifact.
But Descara might try and use it as an opportunity to get in and get some sneaky missiles, or to try and get A-Game to have to go refuel a strike fighter so his own can come in and make a strike. But A-Game is going to finish off this base runner. I think he's going to try. He ran out of ammo, I think. So he's going to go back and refuel. No! He comes back out to center. He's going to put off a couple of missiles here at the strike fighters, and he picks one off. So A-Game gets another strike fighter down.
New heading set.
So A-Game doing a nice job to stay ahead in the strike fighter department, which is critical, because if one player loses a big advantage in the air, it's going to be bad. Let's go take a look at the units lost now.
Be advised. Hostile forces have dropped an artifact.
There we go. Oh yeah, Descara's losing badly now on the units lost.
On our way.
A-Game has pulled ahead significantly, which would have made up for the economic hit that he took early on.
Board is green. Let's roll.
So let's see what happens. Armored
Proceed
assault.
to rally point. Secure location.
Lots of
marked.
armored assault up right now for Descara.
Displacing now.
A-Game now has his missile batteries, and he's researching base runner inventory, which removes initial cooldown time from the base runner
Research
deployment. That's an
completed.
interesting
Alert. Hostile
tech
strike
to
fighter in
pick. I'm
circulation.
not really sure what he has in mind with that one, other than trying to deploy turrets maybe faster.
Armor vehicle taking effective fire.
Strike fighter approach vector dialed in.
Green line
So
confirmed.
at the moment, the strike fighters for Descara own the sky, but A-Game is relaunching his. You do have to land and kind of refuel your strike fighters from time to time.
Fleet capacity deployable out.
I think railguns, yeah, railguns coming up for A-Game now. Another support cruiser, so he may be trying to take an economic lead. In terms of economy, actually, right now, Descara is ahead because he's got a 3-base economy. So Descara might start making up some of the ground that he lost from losing units.
We're cleared to push
But
out.
A-Game has a command of the skies right now, but there's also missile batteries for Descara. So both players have quite a lot of air defense, but there's a railgun advantage now for A-Game.
Defend that area with a turret.
Salvager online.
A bit of a dogfight going on in the center here.
Hostile forces have recovered an artifact.
A-Game did manage to pull back before he got shot down by the missile battery, and a nice use of the probe here to try and spot fighters ahead of time for the missile batteries.
Course set.
So both players being very clever,
Move confirmed.
making use of the resources.
Light attack
A-Game's going to catch up on economy now
Position locked in. Secure
in
it.
terms of
Strike ground, taking
resourcing.
effective fire. Coordinates confirmed.
But again, in terms of units lost,
LAV down.
Descara is actually gaining ground in the last few moments.
En route. Hostile AA turret detected.
So Descara is kind of making a bit of a comeback. Look at this backstab from A-Game.
Enemy airstrike inbound.
Light attack vehicle enhancements online.
He's going to have to pull off of it, though, or he'll lose a lot of strike fighters, so A-Game's going to pull back. Very intelligent to just keep his strike fighters alive here. Very smart play by A-Game. Don't overextend
Coordinates confirmed. Ports
and
green.
try too hard.
Enemy contacts on the board.
So the carrier for Descara is going to push forward. There's a lot of railguns, though. I don't see how this is going to be a smart move.
Armored assault modifications carried out. Fleet logistics module.
All the strike fighters, though, trying to land and refit.
Railgun down.
Missile batteries keeping the enemy strike fighters back. There's a huge ball of LAVs. Descara doesn't actually have a base runner up at the moment to capitalize on the position of his carrier,
Just when we were getting comfortable.
but he is moving his carrier up, I think, to try and command the center. And then along with the missile ships, maybe he's hoping to command the center and build a base runner.
New heading set.
He may have just built one. It doesn't always show up in the production. It's kind of a weird
Railgun
thing.
operational.
Yeah, he does have a base runner now. So that's exactly what Descara is going to do. He's going to try and control the center and win the game by artifacts.
Vector dialed in. We're in alert. Support craft Greenland engaged.
Okay.
Construction resources.
Strike fighters
exhausted.
back up for A-Game. He's losing a
Clear to move and
base
engage.
runner over here.
Move confirmed. En route. Combat alert. Support craft
Okay,
down.
strike
Minor
fighters coming in trying to take out a turret
An
post.
artifact has been discovered.
They're going to get
Unidentified
pushed back.
Contact. Designated hostile.
This
Proceed to
base
rally
runner is
point.
actually
Secure location
slightly
marked.
unguarded by
Pilot
anti-air at the
confirmed.
moment.
Returning to
If
camp.
A-Game could find it.
Armored assault online.
Hostile
The missile
armor
ships are a little
incoming.
out of position. He
Hostile
does see it.
Authentication pending. Strike fighter taking hostile fire.
The missile ship did actually get close enough there, so A-Game's probably going to be forced back.
Thanks for the
He's
elimination.
trying pretty hard to take that thing down.
Course set.
He doesn't want to lose too many strike fighters doing it, though, because he has a huge number of railguns, but these railguns are actually potentially in danger.
Alert. Strike
That is a
fighter
huge ball of
Light attack
LAVs.
vehicle is under fire. Underway.
Huge
Rally
ball of
point set.
LAVs.
Move to location.
There's not a lot of armored assault protection, so Descara is going to take more of a lead on the artifacts,
Get us over there.
despite the massive railgun advantage.
Green line confirmed. Hostile strike craft.
A-Game just doesn't have a great
Armored
answer to
vehicle
all
taking
these,
fire.
ooh, look at that cluster mortar. Turned them back.
Confirmed.
Nice use of the missile battery's secondary ability.
Light attack
A-Game's
vehicle
resourcing is
enhancements
just as good as
online.
Descara, but Descara is going to be pulling ahead in power for his carrier, unless A-Game has been
Armored assault
researching it.
operational.
She is not.
Hostile forces have recovered an artifact.
He's looking for another support cruiser, and he is training AAVs.
Proceed to rally point.
Oh, his
Secure
railguns
location
here.
marked. Dialed in.
They might get swamped.
Green line confirmed.
Oh, he does not want to get swamped by all these LAVs.
Armor is on route.
He's got an armored assault vehicle pushing forward, but he's already down one railgun. Almost loses another. The strike fighters are going to come in and start picking. There is anti-air fire coming up.
Alert. LAV down. Move out. Interceptor
And with
taking
this number of
fire.
railguns, the enemy carrier needs to be cautious,
Get us underway. Move order confirmed.
because they can start causing a lot of damage to an enemy carrier unless they can
Be
hide.
advised. Hostile forces have dropped an artifact. Hostile forces are attempting to extract an artifact.
Yes, they are. So this is going to make a fourth artifact capture unless A-Game can stop it.
Underway.
There are plenty of missile batteries to protect it.
Enemy armor.
The railguns for A-Game are pushing forward now, though, challenging the carrier in its position. But A-Game is pushing up. If he can get a line of sight with enough railguns, he might be able to stop the base runner, but he does not have that line of sight.
Going mobile. Push through.
Nope, he is not going to stop that artifact. So one artifact and Descara is going to take this home, so it is up to A-Game now to stop any artifact captures. So Descara has put significant pressure on A-Game.
Strike fighter lost. Coordinates confirmed.
Fleet capacity deployable out.
Move confirmed. Carrier. Alert. Hostile strike fighter in circulation.
Wondering how many strike fighters each player has left.
Deploy a turret on that location.
Just one
Coordinates confirmed.
for Descara and 4 for A-Game. But there's so many missile ships.
Move to location.
The railguns now putting together a push, and they have a great position right here. Gonna take out a logistics module,
Clear out. Hit it. Armor is en route.
and they're gonna force the resourcing back over here as well. The LAVs are the best chance.
Railgun operational.
Looks like A-Game's getting ready to try and capture some artifacts of his own.
Green line confirmed. Move.
And he now has a commanding position on this hill, and he's gonna push forward.
Punch it.
And if he can push back all this resourcing, he can put Descara in a nasty pinch.
Attack vector. Hostile support craft down.
Logistics module's gonna drop. And those are not, those losses will be felt, so in terms of units lost, still a pretty solid lead for AGameAnx right now. This is a lot of railgun pressure. It is a lot of railgun pressure. There's an artillery cruiser up.
Enemy salvager destroyed.
So an artillery cruiser back here, way back in the back. They're actually off the map. That's kind of weird.
Taking effective fire.
I don't know if the carrier dumped them back there when it produced them. Probably did.
Recover the artifact.
All out.
So the railguns are gonna need to pull back. A-Game's taking some losses here, but he has his secondary force here in a pretty solid position.
Armored vehicle lost. Hostile craft in AO. Maneuver for visual confirmation.
Let's take a look at the tech that A-Game has been working on.
Clear to proceed. We're moving out.
He's working on heavy vehicle armor. He has not done any cruiser fabrication whatsoever.
New coordinates verified.
So he's working on armor and damage for his railguns.
For order.
Armored assault operational.
Hit it. Coordinates confirmed.
The enemy carrier has some significant weapon capabilities at this point. And if A-Game loses his AAVs, then his railguns are going to be very, very vulnerable to these light attack vehicles. He does have a couple of strike fighters in reserve that he can try and use.
Green line confirmed.
The artillery cruiser is allowing the carrier to make a push, a pretty decent cluster mortar, but now these missile batteries are going to come under fire. And the very powerful carrier of Descara is making itself felt, but it's also taking a significant beating from the railguns, who now, they're going to come from this side with a very nice position. The artillery cruisers are going to have to push him off this hill, or else the carrier will die. And that's exactly what they do. 3 artillery cruisers. And they have support cruisers. And it looks like all in for Descara over here against the railguns, but he is cut down by AAVs. And there's some strike fighters now coming up. Not sure what they're going to do, though. There's still a lot of anti-air.
Move confirmed. Green line confirmed. Alert. Anti-air turret post.
Descara is pushing and pushing, but
Enemy contact on the
unless he got an artifact lined up, which I do not see,
confirmed. Going mobile.
Artifact position authenticated.
he doesn't even have a base runner right now that I'm seeing anywhere on the map.
Fighter taking hostile fire. Coordinates confirmed. Move.
Yeah, there's no base runner for Descara,
Push through. Alert.
so he cannot make that final artifact capture, and quite honestly, he's
Alert. Railgun lost.
He's killed. Let's go to units lost. He's losing now by about 2,000 CUs and 300 RUs, or
Railgun operational.
RUs when it comes to the units lost. So A-Game has had a more economic trade, and I think Descara is getting put in a pretty tough position. I mean, his artillery cruisers represent substantial area denial, and he can use these dunes in the area denial to try and keep the railguns off of his carrier, and that's exactly what he's doing, and then he drops the base runner here. He's going to have to try and pick up an artifact. I assume, oh, look at this, A-Game's going to pick this up, and even if he loses it, that was a good pick, because it means no easy, quick capture for Descara. And A-Game is moving this artifact, so that means Descara's got to wait a long while before an artifact becomes available, and the waiting game is not what Descara wants to play right now. A-Game has a pretty commanding looking position, and the resourcing of Descara is suffering. You can see back here, he's having to pull all of his support cruisers forward, and his resourcing is in trouble. He's got a powerful carrier, though, a very powerful carrier. But A-Game has access to the resources, and he's evening up the artifact score. It's now 4-2, and there's no this will be the next artifact up.
Proceed to rally point. Secure location marked.
And if I were A-Game, I'd try and move back here and challenge that.
Railgun
He does have
operational.
railguns in position. That's not going to be an easy pick, but if he can use his carrier and artillery cruisers to push back the railguns of A-Game, it's possible that Descara could try and make this pick with his base runner, or he might just try and park his carrier here and make that pick. We'll see.
We got a railgun under fire.
A-Game's carrier now moving out, and although less powerful, it can come out to tank some damage.
On our way.
Armored
Because
assault
since there's no
online.
railguns for Descara, I don't think that he's going to be able to cause huge damage to A-Game's carrier very quickly. Artillery cruisers can cause some damage. Look at this though, light attack vehicles. They're going to need to get protected by A-Game's strike fighters.
Ahead full. Move.
There's still a few missile batteries over here protecting, but
Hostile
look at that.
artillery is hammering our forces.
Yep, there we go. So A-Game's going to save his railguns.
75%. Full red alert. Command carrier taking
Yeah,
fire.
and the artillery cruisers are causing significant damage to A-Game's
Alert.
carrier.
Strike fighter now then. Strike fighter taking fire.
I think an artillery cruiser just got taken down though. Yeah, he lost an artillery cruiser and he's about to lose another one.
Armored assault operational.
Green line confirmed. Push
This
through.
artillery cruiser is kind of the last hope for Descara. Descara is in a losing position here for sure.
Base runners on
He's
alert.
gonna need a miracle
Coordinates confirmed. Move order confirmed.
to pull himself out of this, and I just don't think it happens.
A railgun is taking effective fire.
He's pulling back into a more defensible position. Still fighting desperately with his artillery cruiser and his carrier, which again, he does have a significantly powerful carrier.
Armored vehicle is taking fire.
But if
Underway.
the railguns of A-Game can pick away the support cruiser or the artillery cruiser, then there's really nothing left for Descara. He has to try and kill A-Game's carrier, and that's his target. That artillery cruiser does do some serious damage to the carrier. And it looks like he's going to push it with his own carrier, and he's going to force A-Game to retreat. But again, all the railguns have to do is pick up this artillery cruiser
Alert.
or the support cruiser, and that's pretty much all she wrote for Descara. And this support cruiser is now in trouble.
Strike systems online. Ready to burn. Alert. Support trap has been engaged. Enemy artillery in the air. Command carrier taking fire.
There's another artillery cruiser up actually, so there's two artillery cruisers. And I imagine they're going to try and focus all their fire on A-Game's carrier, potentially.
Move out. Display.
This artillery cruiser is going to lose though, it's going down.
Interceptor taking
Look at this beautiful, beautiful battle. The artillery cruiser goes down. A-Game's railguns are all over the enemy carrier. Some strike fighters dueling it out in the air.
Fire support on that word is verified.
A-Game's carrier continuing to fall back because the artillery cruiser fire.
Combat relay.
There's no more artillery cruisers left, and the railguns, I believe, have Descara pinned. This was actually a pretty close fight by Descara,
Artifact recovered. Authentication confirmed.
but I don't see how the carrier of Descara survives
Green line
this
confirmed.
at this point.
Clear out.
Railgun operational.
A-Game has the
We are
resources.
insufficiency used.
He's got the
Proceed to
military
rally
power
point.
right now, and I think that this is Descara's last stand. Oh my gosh, he's got a cruise missile up.
Energy signature confirmed. An
If he
artifact
hits A-Game's
done.
carrier, it's gonna kill it.
New sector
I think it will.
Move out.
Holy mackerel.
Railgun
It went down to
online.
7%.
Artifact position authenticated.
I don't think you all realize how close that was.
Push through.
I don't think you realize how close that was. Holy moly. Can you even imagine if Descara in that position had won that game with the cruise missile? That was crazy. That was, what an end to this Artifact Cup. Wow. So A-Game literally pulls it off by 7% on his carrier. That cruise missile was almost the assassin's blade in A-Game's back there from Descara in an incredible last-second attempt. Wow. That was awesome. Thank you, A-Game, thank you, Descara, and thank you to all the other players of the Artifact Cup 18. What an amazing tournament. I appreciated the games from all of you. If you all enjoy it, let me know. I'll try and cast another tournament in the future, but what a tournament this has been. Fantastic gameplay, fantastic. HeirofCarthage signing off for now. I'll see you back in the future.